Yes, my people, it is your boy VRD back for another commentated drive. Today we're still down here at Faversham and we are going to be doing a full return journey up to St. Pancras International in a Class 395 Javelin. It is currently 4:46 in game time, so this is going to be a nice sunrise run. We're going to be seeing the whole dawn process in game, which I've driven this service I think once before and it does look quite beautiful, so I thought I'd share that with you guys. Our train is due out of Faversham at 4:58, so we do have quite a bit of time to get set up here. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this. We're going to start by entering the back cab here, sitting in the driver's seat. Now I need to check that I'm recording because that's just my tradition. Yep, I am recording. So at this end, all I'm going to do is set the driver reminder appliance and ensure that the headlight switch is in the tail position, which it is. And before making my way to the front of the train, I'm just going to check that two red tail lights are being displayed at the back of the train, which they are. Let me just make sure that my phone is on silent. Yep, that's fine. Okay, let's make our way to the front of this six carriage train. Six carriage train. Voice crack. So yeah, I noticed that my commentary was starting to get a bit sloppy over the course of the past few videos, and that's something that I'm not going to allow. That cannot run at all, so I'm just gonna try my best to work on that from here onwards. Entering the front cab now, going to open this little cabinet down here and turn the middle and top switches into the vertical positions. So one of these switches is the isolation switch for the KVB system and the other one is the isolation switch for the TVM system. Now going to head over to this panel here and turn these two switches into the vertical normal positions, those being the AWS and DSD switches. We're now going to set the driver reminder appliance, sit in the driver's seat, then going to insert the master key, move the F and R switch into the neutral position and acknowledge the AWS self-test sequence. And then a bunch of alarms are going to sound at me, just go through that test sequence and all of that. And now, well, in the class 395 specifically, I like to perform a clockwise check of the cab starting from the left. So the headlight switch over here, it's still quite dark, but it's going to get a bit brighter as we drive along to St. Pancras. So for now I'm going to select the night running position, but I might change that along the journey at some point. We now need to configure the train to draw power from the 750 volt DC third rail. So to do that, we just hold the DC button until it lights up and then press this yellow button below it that says pan up, shoes down, and we can see over here the line volt light is now illuminated and the light below it, MCB/VCB, has extinguished. So when your line volt light is illuminated and the MCB/VCB light is extinguished, you are successfully drawing power from the electrified third rail or the overhead power cables, but this specific section of track is powered by the electrified third rail. I'm now going to perform a test of the KVB system along with a static brake test. So F and R switch into forward. I'm going to hold the test button here on the KVB panel. Yeah, just let that run through its test sequence there. I'm now going to move the PBC into the emergency position. And as you can see, we got a siren that goes off once we've done that. And I've just observed that the brake pressure is shot up to what does that say? 130%. Now moving the PBC back into the full service position, and then gradually stepping it down to the minimal brake application position and ensuring that the brake pressure gauge corresponds with those movements. I'm now going to momentarily release the brakes, so move the PBC into the off position momentarily. Observe the brake pressure gauge begin to fall towards 0, then push it right back into the emergency position, and observe the brake pressure gauge shoot right back up to 130%. Move it back down to the full service position and observe the brake pressure gauge fall to 100%. So it's a bit weird. The emergency position would be classed as 130% on here. I think I was calling the emergency position 100% in my previous video, but no, on a Javelin, emergency is classed as 130% braking, which confuses me a bit, but yeah. So F1R switch can go back into neutral now. I'm actually gonna open the doors. I forgot to do that. So we have a door release on the right here. Just give our passengers a bit of time to board. We've still got about 4 minutes until, no, sorry, 6 minutes until our scheduled departure time. So there's no rush, but still, it's good to get the doors open nice and early. I'm now going to test the emergency brake plungers, so just push that in, ensure that the brake pressure rises up to the 130% position, pull it back out, and in order to reduce the braking pressure you have to move the PBC into the emergency position, then back to the full service position. That's only under class 395 Javelin, I believe you have to do that. And then we're going to do the same test with the other brake plunger. Yep, that looks fine to me. Yep. The brake pressure gauge is quite hard to make out. I'm struggling to make it out now, so I feel like in the video it's going to be even worse. That's why I'm trying to zoom into it while I'm doing this. But anyway, that is the setup procedure complete. I'm just going to go out and check that the headlights are being displayed correctly, which they are. We have our brighter headlight on the driver's side and the not so bright LED light on the non-driver's side, which is the night running configuration. And you can see it's starting to get a bit brighter now. Back into the cab, sit in the driver's seat, and we're going to await our scheduled departure time. See you guys in a bit. Okay, so we're down to 60 seconds prior to our departure time. Our starter signal has cleared to a green aspect, so I'm going to reset the driver reminder appliance. And when we get to 30 seconds prior to our departure time, I'm going to close the doors. On the class 395 Javelin in Train Sim World, the door interlock light lights up the moment you press the door close button, which is very unrealistic. So I have to actually listen to the sound of the doors closing so I know when they're closed and when it's safe for me to depart. It's a bit annoying, but yeah. So I'm just going to press the door close button now, just glancing at these CCTV monitors whilst doing so, and I've already glanced at the signal. I can now hear that the doors are closed, so a final glance of the monitors and the signal, FNR switch into forward, and I'm going to test the whole start button as I move off from Faversham here. So PBC into the off position. I'm currently holding down the whole start button, so you can see the brake pressure is held at about 30%, which is the minimal brake application. Selecting power notch 1, waiting for about a second, then releasing the whole start button, and our brake pressure falls to 0 and the train begins to roll off. Move off, I should say. The word roll suggests that we're running on gravity and momentum, which isn't the case. We are currently accelerating using the train's power. Anyway, speed limit is currently 15 miles an hour, departing from Faversham platform 1, so I'm just gonna remain in power notch 1 for now. And we are only 6 carriages long. up to 15, so I've moved the PBC back into the off position. And something I forgot to do was just look at the calling pattern and tell you guys what stations we're going to be calling at. So we're going to be calling at Sittingbourne, Rainham, Gillingham, Chatham, Rochester, Strood, Gravesend, Ebbsfleet International, Stratford International, and finally St Pancras International. At Ebbsfleet International, we're going to be changing so our train will no longer be drawing power from the 750 volt third rail. It will instead be drawing power from the overhead electrified cables, which are charged at 25,000 volts. So that will be from Ebbsfleet International onwards up to St Pancras. Anyway, I'm selecting power notch 3 now, because we are now clear of the 50-mile-an-hour section. Speed limit was 60 miles an hour, but is now increasing to 75, as you can see there. However, at 30 miles an hour, I'm going to perform a running brake test. So we've reached 30 now. I've moved the PBC into the off position. I'm now going to make a 50% brake application, or around there. Just observe the brake pressure, just observe the speed fall by 10 miles an hour. Once it does, release the brakes and then back into full power as soon as the brake pressure gauge falls to 0. Speed limit is now 75 miles an hour. Sorry about the sniffing, guys, I always do this. Anyway, we just passed a whistle board, but because it is not 6 AM yet, I'm not going to sound the horn. As I've said before, you're only permitted to sound the horn at whistle boards between 6 AM and midnight. Just acknowledging the vigilance alert there. That occurs when no controller input is detected for 60 seconds. And if you do not respond to that after about 7 seconds, you will get an emergency brake application, because the train is going to think that you have died. So between here and Ebbsfleet International, we're going to be travelling over a section of track that I've previously covered, but it's just going to be a different calling pattern. We're going to be skipping a couple of stations, those being Tenham, Newington and Higham. So yes, slightly different. So we're up to 75. I've momentarily moved the PBC back into the off position, but then I'm going straight back into full power because the speed limit is now 85 miles an hour. So yeah, once we get beyond Ebbsfleet International, we'll be on a section of track that I haven't previously covered. I covered it in the other direction, but not in the London bound direction. Speed limit is now increasing to 90 miles an hour, so I can just remain in full power. We're now passing through Tenham station, and now that we're up to 88 miles an hour, I'm just going to shut off the power because we're currently on a bit of a downward gradient, so our speed should naturally roll up towards 90. And the speed limit will also be momentarily reducing to 85 miles an hour, then increasing back up to 90 miles an hour. I don't know why. So I'm just gonna begin to let the speed calm down because of gravity. We're no longer on a downward gradient now, we're on an upward gradient at the moment, so our speed is going to start reducing by itself. Yeah, you can see 86, 85. Now we're at 85. I'm going to go back into full power, and because of the upward gradient that we're on, our speed should balance out at 85. Yep, you can see that it currently is. Speedometer here is very unique. It's a digital speedometer, and you have a little display to the right of the speed that tells you whether you're accelerating, decelerating, or traveling at a balanced speed. So we're currently at a balanced speed because we have a little dash there. The upward arrow means you're accelerating, the downward arrow means that you're decelerating. So we're in full power and we're doing 85. Now we're accelerating a bit, and at this bridge here I'm going to get the brakes in for Sittingbourne station. So I've just made an immediate minimal brake application, but on the approach to this signal here I'm going to increase that to 50%, and I may need to further increase that because I did leave the brakes a bit too late because I was talking about the speedometer. But we're going to aim for about 30 miles an hour into the platform. So yeah, we're coming in a bit too hot there, so I'm just increasing the brakes a bit more. $37 miles an hour into the platform. So this braking force that we're currently in, I'm gonna hang about at that braking percentage for a bit longer, just to help scrape off some of the speed. And now that we're down to 20 miles an hour, just reducing the brakes, increasing it a bit as the stopping position gets closer. As we get closer to the stopping position, then momentarily releasing just to creep up to the stopping position. We're going to aim to have that stop board in this window here. There we go, just like that. Braking force is currently at minimum. F&R switch into neutral, door release on the left. And we are currently stopped at the 4 to 8 carriage marker, and we're comprised of 6 carriages, so we are stopped in the correct location. That is something that you should check before opening the doors, but I forgot to call it out. I obviously checked it in my head, but calling it out is quite important as well. Yeah, with the class 395 Javelin, I don't bother going all the way up to full service when stopped at stations, only because it takes too long for the brake pressure to come back down. It just wastes time, so I just leave it in the minimal brake application. Anyway, green signal, pressing the door close button, glancing at the monitors. Doors are now closed. Final glance at the signal and the monitors. F and R switch into forward. Releasing the brakes, making a power notch 1 application. Brake pressure has now fallen to 0%. Final glance at the monitors and straight into full power. Speed limit is 90 miles an hour. So that was Sittingbourne station. I'm not sure if I said that. I think I did, but yeah. Next station is Raynham, which is quite some distance from here. I keep sniffing. It's unprofessional. It's actually very unprofessional. It's just, if I don't sniff my commentary, I'm gonna start sounding like I have a blocked nose, and I don't really like that. So this signal here provides routing onto the Sheerness branch, I think it's called. So if you had your position 4 junction indicator, so that would be the 5 white lights pointing diagonally upwards to the right, that would mean that you've been routed to the right. And I'm not sure if you just saw the tracks going off there, but that takes you up to Sheerness. Is it Sheerness? Shoeburyness? Nah, Sheerness on Sea, I think it's called. Yeah. So the speed limit will be reducing to 70 miles an hour not long after we exit this left-hand curve. So there are 3 bridges that we're going to pass underneath. This is the first bridge here. Between the second and the third bridge, that is where your 70 mile an hour limit commences. So here's the second bridge now. So we're not currently doing 70 miles an hour, so we don't need to worry about it. But if you're in a train that has more powerful acceleration, like an Electro Star, you might need to worry about that. Just acknowledging those vigilance alerts there. And the speed limit is now 70 miles an hour. We're currently on an upward gradient, but we're about to hit the summit of that, so we're gonna enter a steep downward gradient. So what I'm actually gonna do is shut off the power now as we enter this left-hand curve. So even though our speed is now falling, once we cross over the summit, gravity is going to cause us to accelerate back up to 70 miles an hour. So yeah, you can see that arrow, we have an upward arrow next to the speedometer there, so you can see our speed is now going to start increasing back up to 70. Signal that we just passed provides routing onto the slow lines. So you got 4-track running coming up for a short distance, just through Tenham Station and up to the approach to Rainham Station. So this is Tenham Station coming up now.
No, it is not. This is Newington Station, guys. Newington Station.
And you can see the slow lines branch off to the left there, but we are remaining on the fast lines. Speed limit is now increasing to 75 miles an hour, so back into full power. And we've accelerated up to 75 miles an hour, so I've just shut off the power. With that being said, I'm gonna go back into power notch 1 just to help us maintain that speed, because we're on a bit of an upward gradient at the moment. Yeah, you can see my commentary sounds a lot sharper now. I'm most likely just gonna record videos when I wake up from now on, because anytime I try to record a video after coming back from work, my commentary is just atrocious. In my last video, the Electro Star video between Rochester and Faversham, my commentary as well as my driving was appalling. I'm surprised I even decided to upload that, to be honest, but it was kind of funny. So yeah, this isn't a strictly professional channel. I'm gonna throw in a bit of comedy every now and then as well. Anyway, at this bridge here, that is a good place to get the brakes in for Rainham Station. Starting off with a minimal brake application, now gonna up it to 50%. I'm scratching myself in the microphone, unprofessional. And I'm increasing the braking force a bit further. Just gonna try be doing around 30 entering the platform. Yep, 30 miles an hour, but I'm gonna remain in this high braking force for a bit longer because the 6 carriage stop mark is not too far along the platform. You can see it coming up now. Now reducing the brakes, releasing them momentarily just to creep up to the correct stopping position. Minimal brake application there just to stop with the stop board in the window. Perfect. Brake gauge, brake pressure gauge showing minimal. Neutral, we're stopped in the correct position, so door release on the left. And we are on time. Okay, so we have a green signal, very hard to make out, but I can see it. Glancing at the monitors quickly, pressing the door close button. Doors have closed. Final glance at the signal and the monitors. F and R switch into forward. Releasing the brakes. Brake step 1 application. Sorry, power notch 1 application. Final glance at the monitors as we begin moving off, and full power. Next station is Gillingham, which isn't too far from Rainham station. But then again, it's not too close either. And the speed limit is currently 90 miles an hour. I forgot to call it out, but it increased from 75 to 90 just before entering Rainham station. So you can see the sky is starting to get a bit brighter now. I'm probably going to change from the night running to the day running configuration at the next station. Speed limit is also going to be reducing to 60 miles an hour very shortly. So we're going to get the warning board for that around now. Any minute now. Yeah, here's the AWS magnet for that. Just acknowledging the audible indication there. You can see we have the number 60 in the yellow triangle. And the 60 mile an hour speed limit commences shortly after this left hand curve. So we've now exited the left hand curve. I'm gonna get the brakes in about now. Just a minimal brake application, and we're looking out for the signal because the 60 mile an hour speed limit commences where that signal is. So here's the signal coming up now, and you can see the 60 board right behind it. So we're down to 60 just in time. Now releasing the brakes, and we're not too far out from Gillingham now, so I'm just going to run on momentum. Acknowledging the audible AWS indication regarding this warning board. That does not apply to us. That would only apply to freight trains. And at this signal here, I'm going to make a minimal brake application for Gillingham station. If you guys saw my Electro Star video, you would have known that I got a bit too confident coming into Gillingham station here. But yeah, I've just increased the braking up to 50%, and I'm probably going to remain at 50% for the majority of our way along the platform. Yeah, I got a bit too confident and I entered the platform at like 40 miles an hour in an Electro Star, and I had to use the emergency position to stop me from flying off of the platform. It was kind of hilarious. Yeah, just bouncing between 50% and the minimum position. Now releasing the brakes momentarily, back up to minimum, overshot the stopping mark very slightly, but that is okay. Neutral, we have a minimal brake application there on the brake gauge. Door release on the left. And I'm now gonna change the headlight configuration to the day running configuration. I'm gonna go outside and check that now. Always set the driver reminder appliance when leaving the cab, just as a safety precaution. Yep, that looks fine to me. I'm back into the cab. Oh no. Okay. Whew. I thought I just caused a long thing there. Anyway, green signal, glancing at the monitors, pressing the door close button. Resetting the DRA. The doors have closed. Final glance at the monitors and the signal. F and R switching to forward, releasing the brakes. Power notch 1. Just glancing at these monitors as we pull off, and once the brake cylinder gauge reading falls to 0, straight up to full power. Speed limit is currently 60 miles an hour. Next station is Chatham. So we're going to be entering a tunnel known as Gillingham Tunnel. At the other side of this tunnel, the speed limit reduces to 50 miles an hour, and not long after that it reduces down to 30 miles an hour. So we're getting the warning board for the 30 mile an hour speed limit from now, but you don't get an advanced warning about the 50 mile an hour speed limit in between that. So I'm gonna shut off the power and get a minimal brake application in towards the end of this tunnel, about 2/3 of the way through the tunnel. So yeah, about now, shutting off the power, minimal brake application. And we entered the 50 mile an hour speed zone at 51 miles an hour, which is, it's not good, but it's not compromising the safety of the train in any way. And I'm going to remain in the minimal brake application. Doing so will bring your speed down for the 30 mile an hour speed limit on a decent deceleration curve. In fact, I'm going to increase the braking force very slightly down to 30, so reducing the brakes back down to minimum. And once we decelerate down to 28, I'm just releasing the brakes. That is due to the fact that we are currently on a downward gradient, so our speed should roll up towards 30. As we enter this tunnel here, which is called Chatham Tunnel, the downward gradient levels off a bit. So yeah, you can see we accelerated back up to 29, and now we're starting to decelerate again. And I'm going to make a minimal brake application, just entering Chatham Station here. Stopping position for 6 carriage trains is towards the end of the platform, but not right at the end. So yeah, you can see we got the 2 CCTV monitors. We're going to be stopping at the first one. So again, just bouncing between the minimal and 50% range. Releasing. Just trying to put that stop board in the window there. Yep, perfect. Right, minimal on the brake gauge. Neutral. Door release on the left. Right, we're at our scheduled departure time. Green signal, checking the monitors, pressing the door close button. Clunk. Doors have closed. Final glance at the signal and the monitors. Forward, release the brakes, power notch 1, glancing at the monitors again as we move off, and up to power notch 3 this time, because the speed limit is currently 30 miles an hour, so we don't need a high rate of acceleration. And we're about to enter another downward gradient, so I'm going to shut off the power at 25 miles an hour just to allow gravity to bring our speed up to 30. We're up to 25 now, so like I said, I've just shut off the power there. And our speed is still increasing very slowly, just due to the downward gradient that we're currently on. And we're now entering another section of track that is 4-track running, also up to 30 miles an hour, so I'm gonna make a minimal brake application to bring us back down to 25 miles an hour, then gonna release the brakes. And we're still on a downward gradient, so our speed is gonna roll back up to 30, and once it gets back up to 30 we should be close enough to Rochester station, so a minimal brake application at that point should bring us down for the stop at Rochester. The platforms that we just passed through now, they are part of the old Rochester station. But like I said, this is a section of track that I've previously covered, so if you've seen my other videos you'll know this. Right, here's the new Rochester station, making a minimal brake application as we enter the platforms. You can see that we rolled up to 30 just as we entered the station, so that was perfect. Increasing the braking force as we get closer to the end of the platform there. Back down to minimal. Releasing. Creeping towards the stopping position, up to minimal again, releasing momentarily again, just trying to get that stop board in the window there, up to minimal, perfect, minimal on the brake gauge, neutral, door release on the left. Rochester, green signal, checking the monitors, door close button, doors have closed, checking the green signal and the monitors again, forward, PBC into the off position, power notch 1, glancing at the monitors a final time, and power notch 3, ensuring that our brake gauge has fallen to 0%. Speed limit is still 30 miles an hour, but it will be decreasing to 20 miles an hour as we turn off of the line that we're currently on to head down towards Strood Station. So we're up to 30 miles an hour. I've shut off the power. This is Rochester Bridge, or the Medway Bridge, I can't remember what it's called. You can see that our signal in the distance has 5 white lights pointing diagonally upwards to the right, so that tells us that we are being routed off of this line. And the speed limit for this move is 20 miles an hour, so I've made a minimal brake application to bring us down to 20. You can see we have our little 20 board there with the arrow pointing to the right. That tells us that we need to be doing 20 miles an hour. Trains continuing straight are able to continue at 30 miles an hour. We now have a further speed limit reduction down to 15 miles an hour, and there's no speed board to tell you this, but you just have to know where it is. So you can see the point work that we have coming up here. Once you pass over that point work, the speed limit will be 15 miles an hour. So what I'm actually going to do is decelerate down to 10 miles an hour, just using a minimal brake application there. Now releasing the brakes at 10 miles an hour, and our speed is going to begin to roll back up to 15 as we enter Strood station here. And I'm just going to keep using short bursts of the minimal brake application to keep our speed below the speed limit. So just applying a burst of minimal brake. Releasing momentarily. You can see our stop position is coming up now. Up to 50%, back down to minimal. Releasing. Minimal. There we go. Okay, minimal on the brake gauge, neutral, doors on the left. Because of the way that I'm commentating, it might not seem like it, but and I have said this in my previous Javelin video, but the braking force on the Javelin is like on the Class 700, where you can make these very fine adjustments. It's not like an Electro Star where you only have 25%, then 50%, then 75, then 100. Now you can make these very tiny adjustments. So yeah, I just thought I'd point that out.